Shalom, everybody, and welcome back to our Bible readings. Today, we're going to continue on to Genesis or Bereshit, and we are, I believe, we are on 37. So Genesis 37, Bereshit 37. And last week, we left off when Esau had separated himself from Jacob or Israel, and basically Esau was the father of the Edomites or Edomites, however you want to preserve it. So let me get a little comfortable. The rain, as you can see, we are on day 5 of the rain here. So we must absolutely love the cleansing of the rain for here in the PNW. Let me get a little kofifi, a little coffee. Oh, praise Yah. Thank you, Father Yah, for the coffee. And you can't see, I do have my little fireplace going on next to me, so hopefully it stays this way. It's not pouring down, it's just a slight little drizzle, but let us continue with Genesis 37. Oh, and as always, hopefully you're opening up your Bibles and you're following along, and you're not just taking my word for it, as you should have your own. And remember, I read from the scriptures, and it's from the Institute for Scriptural Research. This is a direct translation of the original documents. It's not a translation of a translation of a translation, though I do have quite a few King Jimmies, but I also have a multitude of other Bibles that I compare, contrast, read, and study. So, and let us begin. Genesis 37. And Jacob dwelt in the land of his father's sojourns, in the land of Canaan. This is the genealogy of Jacob, Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers. And the young man was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpath, his father's wives. And Yusuf brought an evil report to them to his father. And Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a long robe. Biblical research, we go in that long robe was it was long and multicolored. It was significant. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and were not able to speak peaceably to him. Yeah, I can get that. Dad's always pointing out, hey, your brother does so much better than you guys. That would create a little bit of animosity, and I'm sure families with older brothers or younger brothers that you can tell mom and dad's favorite, I'm sure there's a little bit of anger and jealousy. And though it happens, you shouldn't have that anger and jealousy. Just be at peace with yourselves, for it will be better. And Yusuf dreamed, not drem, we're not going to have a drem, a wee drem. And Yusuf dreamed a dream and told it to his brothers, so they hated him even more. And he said to them, please listen to this dream which I have dreamed. See, we were building shelves in the midst of the field, building sheaves in the midst of the field. And see, my shelf rose up, and it also stood up. And see, your shelves stood all around and bowed down to my shelf. Sheaf. Sorry, not shelf, sheaf. And his brothers said to him, shall you indeed reign over us? Shall you indeed rule over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed still another dream, and related it to his brothers, and said, see, I have dreamed another dream, and see, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me. And he related it to his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall we, your mother and I and your brothers, indeed come to bow down to the earth before you? And his brothers envied him, but his father guarded the word. And his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Yusuf, you are not your brothers feeding the flocks in Shechem? Come, I send you to them. So he said to him, here I am. And he said to him, please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the sheep, and bring back word to me. So he sent him out to the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. So we have Yusuf hanging around. His father's like, hey, you need to check on your brothers, because the brothers probably have a history of not doing what they need to do, not getting stuff done. So father's like, hey, check on them. Kind of maybe ruling over them. There's a bit of stretch, but hey, go check on them. And a certain, and 37:15, and a certain man found him, and see, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what do you seek? And he said, I am seeking my brothers. Please inform me where they are feeding their sheep. And the man said, they have left here, for I heard them say, let us go towards Dothan. So Yusuf went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. Yeah, they were goofing around. They were doing what they're not supposed to do. And they saw him from a distance, and before he came near, they plotted against him to kill him. And they said to each other, see, this master of dreams is coming. Now then, come, and let us now kill him, and throw him into some pit, and shall say, some wild beasts have devoured him. Let us then see what comes of his dreams. So, the 11 brothers, or the brothers, I don't think we're at 11 yet, because we've got 2 more coming on the way, but that's a different story. So the brothers, they despise him so much for what he said to them. They're now plotting to kill Dad's favorite son. They're like, yeah, let's just get rid of him. Not quite righteous. But Reuben, we all know Reuben. Firstborn Reuben, slept with Dad's concubine. Yeah, not necessarily a good guy. He's already on Dad's bad list. But Reuben heard and rescued him from their hands and said, let us not strike his being. And Reuben said to them, shed no blood, throw him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, in order to rescue him out of their hands and bring him back to his father. So Reuben's like, hey, don't hurt him, don't do this. And then Reuben, after they throw him in the pit, he's going to come back later and rescue him. So it came to be, when Yusuf had come to his brothers, that they stripped Yusuf of his robe, the long robe which was on him. So Dad's, this nice long robe Dad made him. They're like, nah, you don't get it anymore. We're ripping it off you. We're going to leave you naked. And they took him and threw him into the pit, and the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal, and they lifted their eyes and looked and saw a company of Ishmaelites. Remember Ishmael? Yeah, the Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to take them down to Mitzrayim. And Judah, elder brother Judah. And Judah said to his brothers, what would we gain if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hands be upon him, for he is our brother, our flesh. And his brothers listened. And men, Midianite traders, passed by. So they're plotting to sell him to Ishmaelites, and then these Midianites come by, traders pass by, so they pull Yusuf up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. 20 pieces of silver is what you. Mm-hmm. That might come around later on, but you're going to have to add 10 more pieces of silver to it. And they took Yusuf to Mitzrayim, Egypt. And Reuben returned to the pit and see Yusuf was not in the pit, and he tore his garments. He's like, oh no. So Reuben was going to help his brother. Brother's gone. Because the Midianites saw him, pulled him out, then sold him to the Ishmaelites, possibly dealing because the brothers, yeah. Oh, what a tangle web we weave. And he returned to his brothers and said, the boy is gone, and I, where am I to go? So they took Yusuf's robe, slew a male goat, and dipped the robe in the blood, and sent the long robe and brought it to their father and said, we have found this. Please look, is it the robe of your son or not? And he recognized it and said, it is my son's robe. An evil beast has devoured him. Yusuf is torn to pieces. And Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his waist and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforter. And he said, now let me go down to Sheol, to my son in mourning. Sheol, the place of the dead. To my son and mourn. So his father wept for him. And the Midianites had sold him to Mitzrayim, to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. So Yusuf has now been sold to the Egyptians. He's basically going to be a slave for the captain of Pharaoh's guard. And that was quite a bit of reading today. Why don't we finish with 37, and we'll come back next week for 38. As don't want to overwhelm everybody too much with the word, do it in little bits and pieces. So 7 chapters a day. If you read 7 chapters a day, you could actually be finished with the Bible within I want to say 3 to 4 months. So, and once you finish, start over. That's what I do. As soon as I finish a full reading, I start over and just do it over and over and over again. I always found it weird how so many people would take the Bible and say, oh, I'm reading the Bible. You read the Bible? Yep, I read Matthew, or I read John, or I'm thinking about reading the Bible. Where should I start? In the beginning? Oh, no, you should start at John. No, you should start in the beginning so you understand. Because everything in the second telling, or the what we like to call the New Testament, which is kind of funny because it's not new, it's just rehashing essentially the Old Testament. But everyone likes to turn around and say, oh, it's a renewed, no, it's a renewed. It was a mistranslation because nothing was ever removed from the law. Read it carefully. If you go to Paul, what was nailed to the cross was the dogmas and doctrines of man. What has been written by man has been blotted out. The law was never removed. We still have covenants. The covenants stack. We still have rainbows. Earth's never been flooded again. There's floods, but the earth has never been flooded. God's promise to Noah, the covenant of the rainbow, he will never flood the earth, because that goes down into the fact that we have two ways to clean things: water and fire. And we've already cleaned the place once with water. Next is going to be fire. And that's at the end of the book. So, but thank you everybody for joining me this week with it, as we enjoy the rest of Shabbat. So, Shabbat Shalom. And with that, I'm out. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Till next week.